Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Find Your Model Health, the official podcast for those looking to understand their health and body and how to optimize it. We have another special guest on today. I think you're going to find this really interesting. Really interesting. It's an area that I've kind of dabbled in, but not so much. So before I go on, though, I must remind you that the information in these podcast episodes is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your health practitioner before making any lifestyle changes. So today we are going to have a fascinating talk with Mr. Tom Paladino. So Tom is a researcher and humanitarian who is also on a personal mission to make a difference in the world by providing people with the education and tools to restore optimal health and enhance their quality of life. So Tom's area is in scalar energy or scalar light, which works with the quantum field or the energy or consciousness of the universe to activate the body's own innate healing. I think many of you are going to find this really interesting. Tom's technology actually works through a person's photograph, and Tom's going to tell us more about that, and has the power to break down the molecular bonds of over 400,000 pathogens, viruses, and more in the body. And he has programs ranging from anti-aging to hormones to scalar energy for helping with the chakras, which I'm hoping we can talk about as well. And scalar energy also works for pets and animals and even plants, which I found interesting when I read. Hi, Tom. I really think my plants really pick up on my energy. They really do. It's like they almost talk back to me by little things they do. So when I read that on your bio, I was like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yes, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I'm really happy to have you. So before we get into kind of the details of scalar light and all, this is such an unusual field. Can you tell us how you got into it?
I was inspired by Nikola Tesla, and Tesla was working with what he called radiant energy, what we call today chi or scalar energy. And it's with that understanding that there's another energy. There's two energies in the world. You have electricity and you have scalar energy. Well, my preference is to work with scalar energy because it offers the world such incredible promise. So it was Tesla that gave me the idea that this indeed is a valid science.
So what's the difference between regular energy and scalar energy then?
All energy initiates a scalar energy, which is really the prime energy of the universe, scalar energy. And therefrom, you have the derivative, which is electricity and magnetism. So very simply stated, the sun and the stars broadcast this scalar light, which is the initial energy of the universe. That's what I've tapped into, not the inferior, the secondary energy, which I would call electromagnetic energy. It's so important to realize that there's two energies, and the superior energy is scalar energy. That's the key to my research.
And which form of energy would you say is more dominant in the human body?
Scalar energy, but we don't realize that. If we would understand the role that scalar energy has in the human body or anywhere in the universe, we would say, well, that's the prime mover, scalar energy. And the secondary effects are that of electromagnetic energy, electricity, and magnetism. And in many ways, we're starting to prove that there is something greater than electricity that's driving the universe. We've missed the boat on this. The fundamental energy is scalar energy.
So I think more and more people are becoming aware now that we are made up of energy. There's energy everywhere. And I mean, it almost makes me laugh when I say the body's made up of energy. Of course it is, but many people don't realize right down to the molecular level, even your DNA, it's all energy. And then taking a step back, that is, as you just said, all connected to universal energy.
Yeah, you have to look at the universe. You have to say, what gave the universe its shape or its instructions? The answer is always light energy. So light energy is fundamental. physical creation is not fundamental. So we have to look at what is the animating force. It has to be some type of light. I say it's scalar light. Tesla called it radiant light. Now, why is that so important? If you can control the fundamental aspect that drives the universe, then you can control matter. You can control conditions. You can control nature. So why is a scalar energy instrument so important? Why was Tesla's work with radiant energy so important? He, as he called it, he was in the wheelwork of the universe. He was in the very command center of the universe. Being able to control light, you can control the outcome.
So if you can control energy, you can control the outcome.
Yes, that's the key. Very brilliant. If we can control scalar energy, we can control the physical universe. We can control the outcome. Yes.
When I'm doing these interviews, I try to filter them enough so that my followers can understand what we're saying. In another interview, I heard you call scalar energy, was it God's light or God's
life force, or the God force? Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that God is the cause of scalar energy. So what are we working with? We're working with a divine energy. And if that's true, then this divine energy has unlimited potential. It's capable of unlimited instructions.
I wanted to bring that up because I think when people think of energy, they're very narrow-minded. But you're saying it's more than just the energy we think of. It's something else. It's that kind of mystical woo-woo realm. So it is still energy, but it's something more than that. And when you put different titles on it, it helps people go, oh, this is not the regular energy I'm talking about that's running through my laptop now or through the house. This is something bigger. This is more. And this is God's life force or scalar energy or whatever, but it helps people kind of break down the difference of the two energy systems.
Yes. Thank you. You again, that's very astute. You hit the nail on the head. So again, working with scalar energy, I have developed scalar energy instruments that control this other dimension, or this, if you will, this all-encompassing energy. And with that, you can perform work functions. You can achieve goals with this energy that far surpass the ability of electricity. So if you really want to see an output of work, it's with scalar energy. It far exceeds the work output of electricity.
And it's my understanding that this energy is limitless.
Yes, it's from the sun and the stars. Now, again, very astute. If this is limitless energy from the sun and the stars, then this will serve as the new power source. All we have to do is tap into the sun and the stars, and we have unlimited energy. Well, that really should, if you will, I think, titillate everybody. It certainly piques my curiosity, and Tesla was working on that. He was working on free energy devices that would be able to, if you will, capture star power, star energy.
Well, you'd wonder why it doesn't titillate, to use your words, everyone around the whole green energy agenda thing. I mean, if this is so limitless and everywhere, why are we looking at other ridiculous methods when we have this right at our fingertips?
And I agree with you. Scalar energy serves as the answer to the energy crisis. It's free energy from the sun and the stars. It's clean. You can obviously direct this energy and perform so many functions. It's capable of unlimited instructions. So I think the people in the green revolution really need to take a look at nature, the sun and the stars, and tap into that energy.
I'm going to say, because this is my podcast, it makes you wonder, is it really the greenness that they're worried about, or the financial aspects that they're worried about?
Yeah. We see the ulterior motive here with many people. You're right.
So if this energy is endless or limitless, can we harness that so that it can provide limitless and I hesitate to say that because the idea of limitless energy in the body is out of realms for most people, but how can we harness this so that we can provide this sort of energy to the body?
I've developed instruments that harness this very energy. You can call it solar energy or scalar energy, call it what you will. And the instruments that I've developed, I copied a scientist by the name of Hieronymus, can not only capture this star energy, but then broadcast it or deliver it. So we're very successful in delivering it. And I'm going to add, there's a unique concept to delivering this energy. We don't work with this electromagnetic spectrum. We work with a different energy. And when we deliver this energy, we deliver it to a person's photograph. I'm holding up my photograph. I would actually take a person's emailed photograph and place it inside my instrument. Now we're working with the quantum field or the scalar energy force field. My quantum field or my scalar energy signature is on that photograph. And if I wanted to treat myself, I don't treat myself biologically. I treat myself in the quantum field.
So energetically.
Energetically, yes. And what is my point? When you're working in the quantum field, you could be in two places at once. When people email me their photograph, they don't travel to my laboratory here in North America. No, their photograph is their substitute, or their photograph is their bilocated version. And I mean every word of that. So I don't work with people in person. I work with their photograph, which is their bilocated version.
So to help people understand, because I've no doubt that many people find it unbelievable that you could work with a photograph, like you can make people healthy from a photograph. Like that sounds insane, or just some sort of even scam, if you don't mind me saying. But if what you're saying is we are connected through photographs through what's called quantum entanglement.
Yes.
And that basically means that energies or molecules can communicate with each other, even when very far apart, even billions of miles apart.
Yes.
And based on that, we can influence them.
Yes, that's another brilliant statement. There is a concept known as quantum entanglement. Many people surmise that even though you might have two molecules or two physical forms separated by a vast difference, they still communicate with one another, and usually instantaneously. So how do you communicate instantaneously? By way of scalar energy. So the distance is not relevant, because everything in a quantum field is interconnected. It's quantum entangled. And if there's instantaneous communication, then yes, a person's photograph will communicate with that person. Again, I don't work with people in person. I work with their quantum field.
Yeah, which allows you to work with people on the moon, in South America, wherever they are.
Yes, this is the new science. Now, let me go back 100 years. We're obviously having a conversation through our computers. That's wonderful. But 100 years ago, if you would say, well, I could speak to somebody in Canada, and I live in the United States, and we can communicate through a computer system, telephonically or some way by way of video, they would not be able to conceive that. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, you and I don't live in Canada, you do. I live in the United States, but we're having this instantaneous communication, so to speak. Well, then why can't we instantaneously communicate through a photograph?
Is that kind of like when you're thinking of someone and you're thinking of them, and then next of all your phone rings and you're like, I was just thinking of you. So it's that same energy. It always happens with a family member to me, which makes me think of the genetic molecules, but it can happen with strangers, no doubt.
Yes, and you're right. And that is the animating force. Why is it that you have this experience that somebody is going to call you, or that you think of a friend and that friend suddenly is thinking about you or having a particular experience? That's quantum entanglement. Some people might call that clairvoyance or psychic ability. Others might call that some type of deja vu or auto connection. Call it what you will. Prophecy. All of that calls to mind that there's an informational field, a vast, infinite informational field in which we can communicate with people, maybe telepathically. And in so doing, we're accessing the quantum field. Just as I access the quantum field through a photograph, well, mystics and prophets access the quantum field by way of God's will, if you will.
I've always had this theory, well, for the last few years, that human beings are capable of much more than we realize, and we do have these access points to the other dimensions or quantum field or whatever you want to call it, but maybe over the centuries we have been trained to not know this stuff, to word it politely. I do think we have potentials that we can tap into, but over the decades and all, we have been told, no, this is not possible. An example would be the superhero films that are everywhere. I'm not saying we can do a lot of that, but I am saying, why couldn't we do some of that?
Yes, we can. And with scalar energy, this other dimension, what is difficult with electricity and magnetism is very simple with scalar energy. When I work with the scalar energy instrument, again, I can control the outcome. Well, you can't do that with electricity. So with the scalar energy instrument, in so many respects, I have dominion over nature. Now, if you can do that, my goodness, you're controlling nature.
I've heard you mention before how scalar energy can impact the chakras, and the chakras being, as I would say, downloadable access points for the body.
Yes, they are downloadable. Yes. Okay. Why? Because the chakras spin just like scalar energy. So when we have those 7 chakras in alignment, those are 7 spinning vortices of scalar energy. And a scalar energy instrument can download into those 7 chakras. It happens all the time. So by way of your example, yes, they are downloadable. Yes, you can interface with our 7 chakras. And the easiest way to do that is with scalar energy, not electricity. Electricity actually throws your 7 chakras out of balance. If you have scalar energy chakras, then you should use a scalar energy instrument to balance your scalar chakras.
Is that because scalar energy is more smooth or neutral or free flowing compared to, say, man-made electricity?
Yes, that's part of it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The key is this: the first energy of the universe is scalar energy. So God created our 7 chakras with that initial energy, scalar energy, not the subset, not the derivative, electricity, magnetism. Sadly, there's 2 energies now, scalar and electromagnetic. Scalar is perfect energy, perfect information. Electromagnetic is imperfect. And with imperfect energy, you have imperfect results.
Okay. And while we're on the whole impacting the body, I've heard you mention that you work with people to help them kind of break down pathogens, biofilms, viruses, whatnot. Can you speak a bit on that? But also, I'm just curious, have you worked with people in regards to using scalar energy to help with mental health as well?
All of the above. So if you will, I'll go back to my example. My photograph reports my constitution in the present moment, the real-time constitution. And my photograph, let's say I could pinpoint a bacterium, Streptococcus mutans, on my photograph. That would concur, and that would substantiate that I was infected with Streptococcus mutans. So I can send energy into my photograph and break apart Streptococcus mutans. It causes oral decay, periodontal disease. So if we can do that with a pathogen, a bacterium, then we can also do that by balancing the 7 chakras, producing a sound mental health, psychological health. We've seen that in many people. We're able to balance their brain waves and their chakras, and the result is they feel better. They have a psychological uplift, if you will. We've had some people say that they're no longer addicted to drugs, or that they're no longer depressed. Now, possibly, how can we possibly do these things? All by way of the perfect information system, which is scalar energy.
So just to reiterate, to do all of this, people are sending you a photograph, you're putting it into these instruments that you've designed, that's giving you feedback, and then the instruments also allow you to send energy as well?
Exactly. I can receive energy or send energy. It's a two-way street, so to speak.
That
So
must be
you see how fantastic this is.
Yeah, I was just going to say that must be an interesting machine to play around with, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it really is. Scalar energy is alive. It's God's energy. And it's alive, and it's a give and take. It's a perfect communication. It's not just a one-way communication. Communication has to be two-way. It has to be in many ways, maybe omnidirectional. Meaning what? A scalar energy instrument allows me access into a different dimension. Some people call that a wormhole. Some people call that another universe. Well, let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, there's two dimensions, hence there's two realities. And when I'm working with a scalar energy dimension, the scalar energy reality, it's not this world. It's a different quantum world.
Which is really what Tesla spoke about a lot. And I'm highlighting that because I'm sure people say, no way, this is impossible. Yeah. Well, how come we can believe Tesla dealt in this area, but we can't believe that Tom Paladino can deal in this area?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've copied Tesla's work. So I'm not the original thinker. I copied his work. And what Tesla discovered, I am rediscovering.
Yeah.
That there is free energy in the world, and that you can access that free energy by way of certain instrumentation. That's what I've done. That's what Tesla did over 100 years ago. You can access this information. And I just tell you, people who want to prove that to themselves, look at my website. Look at the results. The results are, I think, quite stellar.
Yeah, I have had a look at your website, and I will share it, but it is pretty awesome. And this, of course, does require people to be open-minded as well of other aspects to managing their health and their life and whatever it may be. And I think after the last 2 or 3 years, a lot more people are becoming a lot more open-minded. Have you seen that? Have you seen more people kind of approach you wanting to learn more?
Yes, and people are very open now. And I would say what the driving force behind my work now is people, a grassroots effort. I'll be very clear. I don't have any support from government or big business or academia. It's people. Why? People are yearning for this, and people are very responsive. And so I salute the people of the world. They're really they're scientific. There's some smart people out there.
This is part of the Great Awakening, as they say.
It is.
People want to learn more. They want to understand more. They want the truth. They have this hunger for information, knowledge, but real stuff, not fake stuff. People want to know what's really out there. What were we not told? What can we harness now and access now? So this is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It is awesome. And again, we're following in the footsteps of Nikola Tesla, in my estimation, the first man to harness, to control scalar energy. He had free energy devices. He called it radiant energy. I'll make this very clear with the audience. Later in his life, he no longer called his work electromagnetic or AC electricity. He used a different term, radiant energy. Why was he using that term, radiant energy? Because it wasn't electricity. So he was the original quantum theorist.
When people think of Tesla, of course, they're thinking more of the Tesla cars and maybe a few other, but they don't realize that a lot of Tesla's work was more around the quantum field than our dimensional stuff right now. So it's good to remind people of that. So because I think it's great what you're offering, because again, we've said people can be skeptical. Yes, people want to know, but they can be skeptical. And because of that, correct me if I'm wrong, you offer a 15-day free trial, or people can send their picture in for free. Can you tell me about that?
That's the key. Thank you. So I want people to experience this. I want this to be easy, non-threatening, no obligation. So my website We allow anybody in the world to send their photographs. You can include your pets. And if you have the permission of your family members, send their photograph in, just a bust shot. And we will treat you for free for 15 days. Again, this is quantum healing. We will balance your chakras. We will eradicate microbes, germs, and we will also be able to create nutrients. So we do that for 15 days. Every day we balance your chakras, we eliminate pathogens, and we harmonize micronutrients. After 15 days, most people say that that's been enough for them, and they have some experience, some type of favorable experience with our sessions. And they say, yes, invariably, most people say, I felt something. Something changed. And all they had to do was submit their photograph, making it, once again, simple, safe, and easy.
So the 15 days, people get to see, hey, this works or doesn't work, regardless. They get to see for themselves, and then they can decide if they want to take more steps forward to work with you. Am I correct?
That's correct, yes. Exactly.
And didn't I see somewhere that, apart from what I said in your bio, but people do send in pictures of their animals, their dogs, for you to work on them?
Yes. Many people, they're mindful that their pets need a chakra balancing or a germ cleanse. Many pets have many microbes, germs. So people always are sending in photographs of cats and dogs and their horses, even their livestock. I would encourage that. Why? Because an animal, a pet, does not realize it's being treated. And if your animal has a favorable experience, that's a pretty good indication to you that some type of quantum healing took place.
Yeah, and I would guess, I would add that animals seem to be more connected to the spiritual energies and realms than we are. So they would probably respond faster because they're more open to it.
Yeah. You're right. They're more open. That's the key. There's no roadblock with an animal. They just accept it as God's healing.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Great Awakening and all that. I think more people are more open now to these alternatives. Before I let you go, and this has been fascinating, did I see that you have your own podcast as well, kind of discussing more stuff on this?
No, I don't. And for various reasons, I'm really strapped for time. But I want to share this with other podcasters around the world. I thank you for allowing me to share this with your audience. I'm going to encourage your audience, visit the website, scalarlight.com. Sign up. It's SCALAR, scalarlight.com. As I say, you have nothing to lose except your germs. It's a free trial. Anybody in the world can try this and see if this works for you.
Yeah. And I actually am very interested. So you'll be getting my picture, but you probably have an idea now of everything that's wrong or right with me so far. And your website, I did look at it. You have some great videos on there as well for people to help them understand more. So this has been fascinating, Tom. Straight to the point, get the message out there. I will be sharing your links and everything once I have this uploaded. Is there anything else you would like to get across around scalar energy?
I usually leave with this thought. Scalar energy is everywhere. Our mind works by that animating force of scalar energy. In other words, how can we think? How do we create? It's a scalar energy impulse. And our heart works. What drives the heartbeat? Scalar energy. So we are scalar energy beings. It's everywhere. Sadly, modern day science has not inculcated that thought. But your mind and your heart are scalar energy vessels. So this is not a foreign topic. So embrace this science. It's a new science, but it's a very old concept, obviously. It's as old as light.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your work and for reminding us of what is out there. There's a lot more than we know. So thank you for your time and your work. And I'll be in touch with my picture. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. This was a pleasure.